go, no, I wish I could do this or that or this or that?
I do, but I'm quite pragmatic on that front because obviously there's tons of things. If we'd had more time and more money, and I mean that's the main thing really, time and money, which are kind of the same thing, certainly in filmmaking. So if we'd had the time to do certain things, I would have done them better and I would have made certain things work. But there was also a kind of feeling, when we were putting the script together and developing it, there was this feeling like, if we polish this too much and make this into a really, like, because we just say in England they have the thing called the Film Council, which you can sometimes go to for money for making films. And we went to them and they said, look, we actually got quite far with it. They said, no, you need to sort out the script before we can give you the money. And my feeling was like, if I sort out this script, I run the risk of getting rid of some of the stuff that's vital in there. And what I always said is, I don't care if this movie's a bit of a mess, as long as there's like an energy there and there's a realness, it doesn't feel phony and it's kind of experimental and, all that kind of thing. So I kind of almost deliberately didn't polish the script up and kept it raw, and we kept changing bits and muddling stuff around. But there were certain things like, with the parents, we were trying to cast certain people and we'd chase someone for months and I'd rewrite the script, completely to give them a bigger role, and then we wouldn't get them, and I'd be like, okay, great, I've got to try and rewrite the script to give this person, So there's stuff like that where you're chasing actors or chasing money, and that compromises the way you would have done it, but next time.
And what do you
That's
have?
how I look at it, next
What do you have coming up next?
There's a project I'm developing at the moment, which is looking to be quite interesting. Hopefully going to be making it from New York if I can. And it's a kind of contemporary science fiction, speculative fiction, but it's kind of still about relationships and communication and all those elements.
Not so much comedy? No?
Probably not so much, but it's really hard to say yet. Often you just start writing things and you just find funny things in it and you can't resist sort of flagging them up. So it'll certainly have some of that quirkiness, but it might not be quite so much about that probably. But it should be quite exciting, and Joe will be writing music if he doesn't, I'll thump him.
Is that a yes, Joe?
I guess so.
He scares me. He's small, but he's got a rabbit punch.
I keep him in the cellar and he just sits there composing.
You can get arrested for that in some places.
Not in England, so it's all right.
Another question? I have some mics here, so go ahead.
Okay, 2 questions. I really love the way you use space.
Can everyone hear it okay? Do you want to grab the microphone?
I'll talk louder.
Oh, okay.
I really like the way you use space in the film, and I noticed the compression, the bed seemed unusually small, the hallways seemed very narrow. You did some interesting shots there. I'd like you to elaborate on that. And then also, I love your use of lighting and how the cramped use of lighting made you feel like he's struggling inside his mind. And so I'd like you to elaborate on your lighting work as well.
Okay. Well, yeah, in terms of the spacious stuff, there are certainly some points where I really push that. Like, for instance, the scene where there's the little boy and he goes to his old bedroom. If you watch the scene, and once I've told you this, you'll watch it and go, oh my god, yeah, it looks really weird. But we just used a really wide-angle lens, so it's a very small room, and then we used this really wide-angle lens and kept that fixed and moved them in and out of space. So when the scene starts, you've got this tiny little boy, and Rob, big, huge in the foreground, and he's kind of wandering around and stuff. And as the scene progresses, the boy moves towards the camera and stands up and gets big, and Rob kind of shrinks into this tiny thing as he gets on the bed. That's the effect of the wide-angle lens. So it looks like a kind of Lord of the Rings thing with hobbits and stuff. It's really confusing. One thing is tiny, one thing's big, and then it kind of goes and turns. So there's certainly things like that. The bed, I would like to say, was a deliberate choice that it'd be really funny to put them in a small bed. That's not actually the case. The art department just messed up. We came to shoot this scene, and I went, that's the bed. And they were like, yeah, look. That's barely a double. We've got Rob, who's a big guy, and these 2 parents are all going to get in this bed. Sorry. And we didn't have time to get another bed or fix the problem, so that was the bed we had. So that's why he climbs into an extraordinarily small bed. In terms of the lighting, there are certain bits that are like very me lighting, like where I was designing lighting, like the scene when they're in the basketball court and they come out and there's the little shaft of light and things like that. That was like very designed beforehand by me, and I was saying I definitely want this light here and we're going to do it like this. Some things were similarly my lighting in as much as, like the good example, the bit when they're sitting at the laptop, And it was the end of the day, and we were supposed to be going out to shoot some stuff outside on the street, but we'd been shooting in the flat all day. And I said, I want to get this shot from looking at the laptop because I reckon I'll be able to cut it in later on and blah, blah, blah. And they were saying, we've got no time, we can't like this, we can't like this. And I was saying, all right, watch this. You know, we went, lamp goes there, lamp goes here, we'll shoot. If it doesn't come out, it'll be fine. And we shot the scene, and then no one knew what they were doing. So I just said, right, look at the laptop, and I kept throwing them lines, saying, do this, it'll be funny, do this. And they improvised this whole scene. And that's one of my favourite shots in the movie now, because the lighting was just as I kind of would like it, simple kind of source lighting. So yeah, there's a lot of those kind of things where we try to have little kind of paths of light. Psychological things where you have someone walking into a light source, it suggests that they're kind of going towards the light, that kind of thing. So there's a few bits, like, when he comes out the pub and obviously there, and there's other moments throughout the film where that happens. And then we did a lot of grading as well to make certain scenes look kind of particular, like the girlfriend's bedroom's like incredibly pink, and then, like his early memories are very red, and like other people's early memories are very yellow, and there's like kind of really pushing colours here and there that we could.
I like
anything in particular you were thinking of?
No, I like the scene in the gym where the light is on his chest down, so his head is all in the dark.
Exactly, yeah. That was all.
Okay, right here.
Where do you draw your inspiration from, whether it's for this movie or for any other works that you have in progress, or where do you start from? Where does it come from?
You mean like the ideas for the scripts, or?
Daily life, childhood, where does it come? What do you look for?
Movies, I'm absolutely obsessed with films and always have been, so I watch an awful lot of movies. And then when you see like a film that's amazing, you think, wow, like that's what I want to do, that's the kind of thing I need to do. And when you watch a film that's rubbish, you go, I could have done so much better. Or when you see a film, that's lots of potential if they just change this and recut it. I spent my whole life having really boring conversations with Joe's nodding his head here, boring conversations with people saying, I just went to see, whatever, I'm not going to name any names because I went to see this film, and it would be so much better if they just cut this out and did that, and if they removed that, kind of thinking about creating a film. So that's kind of where my inspiration from that comes from, and then where ideas come from, it tends to just be, there'll be things floating around in my head, things I get fascinated with. So if I had to be, I was thinking I'm going to write a film about something I know, about people I know, and it's going to be low budget, so I'm going to use people I know and use locations I know and all that kind of thing. And then also I just found the whole idea of therapy and self-help and all that kind of stuff absolutely fascinating. So I was just reading tons and tons and tons of books on that. And it's the same with this next project at the moment I'm reading, because there's all these aspects in the story about autism. And so I've been trying to read as many books as I can and truly try and kind of understand the full spectrum of what's going on in autism, what it means and how we communicate and how we don't understand each other and how we empathise and don't empathise and things. So I think that will be maybe a recurrent theme coming through from How to Be, is that same thing about how we can't communicate with each other and how we don't quite see it from each other's point of view and how all these weird kind of barriers that go up in general. Is that your question?
It sure is.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Quick question. Is there a reason why the mom is English? American, excuse me. And whose eyes are on the poster?
Okay. The mom is because we were chasing an actress for the role of the mother for a while, a fairly famous actress, and she was saying, I love the script, I want to do it, but she was in Australia filming something, and blah, blah, blah. This went on for months and months and months of chasing her, going, are you going to do the movie, are you going to do it, are you going to do it, And then there was another great actress who's a friend of, Alan Rickman. Alan Rickman was really supportive of the script quite early on and sort of gave us, a hand in just, opening a few doors here and there. And there's a fantastic actress who's friends with him, how I got in contact with him in the first place, and she kept doing it, but then she'd get theatre work that would take up 9 months of her life and blah, blah, blah. And so we were chasing for a long time, and we hadn't actually cast the mother yet. And it got to the shoot, and it was like still one of these parts that needed to be cast. And then someone told me that David Mamet had read the script and just given it to his wife, and she liked it, and she had family in England and would come do it for cheap and thought it was all fun and stuff. So everyone was like, what do you think? What do you think? And I went, you know what?